Here's everything you need to know about the Roadkill Ramp Truck. Freiberger found this on the internet for sale for $3,500.
This thing is mint.
Came from San Diego, California, and it had a great license plate on it that basically said, this truck hauled a Class 1 race car racing down in Baja, California. I drove the Crusher Camaro down to San Diego. Don't know why, but that's what I was driving that day. Loaded it on the back of this thing, drove it all the way back to Los Angeles, and thought, this is the greatest truck ever. I don't need a trailer. I don't have to do 55 miles an hour in California. I can go 70 like everybody else. And when I came back to Freiberger, I raved about how good this thing was. So Freiberger said, great, let's put the 5,000-pound Bonneville Camaro on the back of it and go all the way to Wendover, Utah to race that car. And that's when we discovered maybe it's not as good as we thought it was. It was underpowered, it had electrical issues, it had fuel system issues. We battled it the whole time. Ultimately, we did make it home from that trip, and I still love this truck. I just knew it needed work. So I bought it from the company, drove it from California to Georgia, and when I got here, one of the first things Newbern and I did was swap the 454 and Turbo 400 trans out of it, and in place, we stuck a compound turboed 5.9 liter Cummins diesel, one of the greatest diesel engines ever made. And this particular one has been hopped up by the folks at Power Driven Diesel in Utah, and it now makes over 1,300 foot-pounds of torque. It is an animal. I know it's fast. I know it's amazing. I know it will rip a house off the foundation, but I've legit only driven it twice because we blew up the transmission in the truck. Then it went to a body shop for 2.5 years. Then it went to an upholstery shop for like 7 months. And one of the first things we have to do is figure out what's missing. It's been so long, I'm pretty sure we don't have all the parts. The doors are pretty much lined up to the truck, or as best as we can do it here in the garage. They are aftermarket doors going on an original Chevy truck cab, so they don't line up perfect, but they do close, they don't hit each other. We're good with that.
Now that that's kind of in place, let's put a fender on it. Man, it's weird. It looks like a truck. Hadn't seen it like this in a while.
I know. Nice. Dude, that looks pretty good. Would you look at that? It's starting to look like a truck again. I legit have not seen the front end of this truck in 3 years. This is exciting. We're gonna finish bolting the fenders onto the core support, put the intercooler and the radiator in, and then probably call it a night because we're just so far ahead. No problems. Now the radiator can go in from the top, and then the tedious task of bolting the fan shroud onto it.
There we go. Yeah. Right there.
The fan shroud drops into two little things.
Yep.
Right there.
Mine's in.
I think mine's in. So right now what we're doing is we are installing the inner fenders. These are the original 73 Chevy inner fenders that came out of this truck, but they've been highly cut and modified to fit the turbo plumbing.
Well, I got most of the wiring done inside the truck. The gauge clutcher is ready to go in. We're waiting on the headlight switch. And as soon as I get the headlight switch put in, I can put the cluster in. It's just easier that way. But right now, I'm going to clean up the gas pedal that's been apparently sitting in water for no telling how long, getting all the rust off of it. And we're actually missing the piece that goes on the front of this to hold this in. So I'm just going to make one out of aluminum and just get it done so we can drive this thing.
Things are going really good. Obviously, the engine is in, the complete turbo system is there. We have all our fluids. Right now, Dave is working on the gas pedal. What this truck is missing is a complete wire harness, and we're using one from Painless Wiring, which is pretty sweet because it is vehicle specific. It is actually made for a Chevy crew cab dually, which means we have taillight wiring that goes pretty far back there. Not all the way to the back because this is a ramp truck and it's longer, but we can extend that. But it has all the other circuits you would find in a C30 or R30 pickup. It's a 150 amp fuse. This goes between the battery and the fuse box. It will protect all the circuits of the vehicle in case we ever short something out. And you might be tempted to attach this with, say, a self-tapping screw. Looks like that. Problem is the sheet metal of this inner fender is really thin. What happens is when you go to tighten it, you can over tighten it and strip the hole out. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to install this threaded insert, and the tool will actually squeeze this in the hole, making it in there tight. So then you can really crank down on this thing. And this is the tool. When you squeeze that, that is going to blow this out behind the hole so that it can't come out. There we go.
So Classic Instruments custom made a gauge panel for this truck. We're so close to firing this thing up. I'm getting so excited. So here we go. Okay, yeah, I kind of like it.
We have compound Garrett turbos. We also have this. This is from Power Driven Diesel. This is called the Turbo Tuner. Essentially, it's a bleed valve. Now, our big turbo has an internal wastegate that we don't want to be active right away. We want this thing to spool as fast as it can because hot rod diesel, we want it to make its most boost as we can. And what this does and why it's unique is it doesn't have a bleed orifice in it. So as you adjust this, it's going to stop the boost from going to the wastegate diaphragm as we turn this. So if it's all the way out, all the boost going through it, free flowing, goes to the wastegate diaphragm, this starts working as soon as it sees boost. If we close this down, it stops the boost from going to the diaphragm. We can increase the rate at which we build boost and slow down the rate at which the wastegate is active, which means it will spool faster, the truck will accelerate harder, it'll make more boost. I'm gonna mount this in the dash, and then we're gonna keep on with what's left of this list, which really isn't very much. I think today's the day we go for a test drive. There we go. Now we got a boost controller. So, medium rod, hot rod. That's all the boost. And then this is some of the boost, and then this is very little boost. And then up here is the Power Driven Diesel AFC Live. This controls the fueling of the motor. It's temporarily mounted because roadkill, but basically you can fine tune how much fuel the engine's gonna get and how quick it's gonna get it. And then this switch right here is switches from your fine tuning to all the fuel. So all the fuel, all the smoke, all the power, cruise. We are nearing the end. I don't mean like done with the build, because what build is ever done really, especially on roadkill. But we are getting close to driving the truck. But before we do that, because we're so confident that the drive is gonna go great, that we're gonna go just straight to spinning tires. And that's where this little doohickey comes in. This is a Hurst line lock. Essentially, this is an electronic solenoid valve for your brakes. And the way it works is you put your foot on the brake pedal, mash it to the floor, then push a little button that energizes this deal. This deal is going to hold the front brakes. You're going to let your foot off the brake pedal, which is going to release the back brakes, which means you're free to do burnouts for as long as the tires will last. We're going to use this because ramp truck.
We had to call in some reinforcements. We're not used to having painted vehicles. We took the extra step to taping the edges and calling in some help so we don't scratch the paint. And if it gets scratched, it's their fault. Dude, look how good it looks with the mirrors and like the new glass and the new paint.
Oh man, it looks good.
It looks really good.
Oh man, it's got a hood now. I think the brakes are better too.
Are they?
Yeah. Mirrors are good. Can you pull that one in just a hair? There you go.
With the road being damp, there's a much greater chance of this thing destroying the tires. Just saying. And we need to try out the line lock.
Yeah, we did make a significant change to the line lock, so it would be a crime not to try it. Okay, ready?
Let's smoke some tires.
Now it's doing it.
Okay, we need to leave. That was the thing under the hood again. We need to go.
Peace out. We're going to fix this up the street.
There's something going on with the line lock for sure.
I think it's bleeding through the proportioning valve and back feeding or something.
The test drives keep getting shorter and shorter, but I feel like that's the last of our troubles. We went out, we went 2 blocks, we successfully did a burnout with the aid of some front tire chocks because there's something wrong with our line lock. It does not hold at all. like driving this truck, Dave.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.